Well, hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. How was your weekend? Hello, Hope. Hello, Michelle. Hello, Sonia Young. I see Sherry McCabe is here. I see Sherry is here. Sandy Sanders is here. By the way, Sandy, I talked to Erica this morning about your aqua resin experiments. She was very excited about it. Jasmine's here to say hello. She just jumped up on the back of the chair, saying hi to us. I'm just trying to get my feed loaded up. It's, of course, it's not working because my finger has too many gloves on it, so I could see all you guys come in, but it won't let me see the feed at the moment. Skip the video. Why does this happen every time when I got too many gloves on? I'm so sorry, you guys. You know what I mean, when the screen's not sensitive and it won't fix it. I can't believe I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to take these gloves off. You know, technology, technology, technology. When we finally move, because I'll be moving to, I have to move to another.
If you could take a treatment way back to when they first get this diagnosis, and so instead of getting a treatment.
So when I move, we won't have this situation. Thank you guys, take my time because it's still trying to put a sound on. And I don't need any volume. Here we go, volume off. Let's go back to YouTube. I mean, I sat there, I could see everybody was in there saying hello to all y'all. But then once it actually starts, okay, here we go. Now I can actually see me and you at the same time. And it's kind of important that, thank you, Hope. Hey, Evelyn, nice to see you here. And everybody telling me to take my time. That's really awesome. So how was everybody's weekend? Evelyn's here, Audra's here, Hope is here. Oh my gosh, the whole gang is here. Now I have to put my magic gloves back on. We're playing with epoxy today, guys, so I'm having 3 sets of gloves on my right hand. And you know, this is a trick that Fairy Art Mother taught me. She said, always have an extra glove or 2 on the main hand that you use. So you have to sit and stop and spread resin around, right? You can always pull that glove off and pick up your heat gun. Kind of important that we do that, other than they don't fit like they did when I pulled them off. I had them all nice and tight. So, what did I want to talk to you guys about today? First of all, I'm supposed to do this. Hi, I'm Leslie Ohnstad. I'm the creator of Color Art Products. I'm your host of ColorPlay Live 3 days a week, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Tuesdays and Fridays, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 9 a.m. on Saturday. So we have our, yes, on the weekends, you're right, there is a Saturday weekend. So we did 2 things since the last broadcast. Well, we have the ocean, my first attempt at an ocean pour, which I'll get today's piece off and show you the results. Now, a lot of people watched bated breath as I was fighting to do my very first. These gloves are not on right. This is going to drive me nuts. Here, let's turn around and take a look at it while I talk. So if you remember, the resin was seizing up real badly. I had mixed it up a good 40 minutes before the broadcast had started. And then the board was actually gold, painted with Prism Pour Tuscan Sun. You're right, she does. She hangs around the back of the chair as I'm spinning around, Sonia. Sonia says she likes how the baby just stays on the back of the chair. She's right. She just hangs there. Dancing fuchsia. Who's got stained hands with dancing fuchsia? Sandy Sanders. Now that is one color that is going to stain your hands. Out of all the purely pigments, the rhodamine is a completely different color category. The name dancing fuchsia fits it well because it wants to dance with everything around it. But yet, so many people like that hot rhodamine, you can't not offer it as part of the coloring system. Okay, now I got gloves on I can work with. So here's where we painted the pinks on top of the gold, right? And my mistake, I got all flustered. I had mixed a dark clear color and had mixed a blue-green clear color. And then when it came to laying the paints down, if you go back and watch the broadcast, in hindsight, retrospect, whatever you want to call it, I should have put down the clear blue-green and the color with the sparkle in it and then meld them together. And the same thing with the back area. I was, like I said, so worried about timing. The color did not turn out bad. This was an area where I quickly stippled some Prussian violet just to try to make a deeper area. But of course, with the resin countdown on me, I really panicked. But it was interesting. I can't believe that the white still let me get a little foamy thingy. So not bad for my very first attempt at a ocean piece. Now that I've kind of got myself broken, right? Then here is Saturday's piece. We took a regular old, thank you, Michelle. We took a regular swipe that kind of looked blah to me. I took primary elements and a moist brush, not really wet, just a little moisture, and rubbed it in as if I was using a pastel. The autumn leaf was turning too dark doing it that way, so I did use a little resin on the autumn leaf here where that orange and so this is the autumn leaf, a little bit of jasmine. This was the playful peony giving us that blushing color. But it came out real interesting. And it was just me hand painting over the top of a so-so swipe and then resining it. And wow, it's really, really vibrant. So, and this is that Bolivian blue. It really shows up on the canvas and the Guatemalan green. So, yeah, it didn't turn out horrible. I think it turned out well. I'm not gonna sit and say it's terrible and try to milk you guys for more compliments. But it did come to life. It really came to life. Okay, so today I'm just gonna try a regular resin piece. If I could, I really want to make clocks. And so actually having the section here where the rocks maybe wouldn't be conducive for clocks. I think rocks should be more over here in this section and over there. But I kind of drew some lines with my eraser as guidelines. So what we're going to do, thank you, sweetheart. What we're going to do is, and of course, I just blew my set down, didn't I? So one thing you may not know is when you're painting with a varnish, I'm going to pull my set back up. When you're painting with that varnish, you can get a lot of translucencies. Yeah, that wheel keeps wanting to kick off this back canvas that covers up my little backdrop here. So the point is that the primary elements mixed in that varnish gives you a beautiful translucency. So yeah, this notebook's really risky to have on this wheel. Like I said, once I move, my landlady, after 18 years, she needs to, I've been renting this place as a studio office for years, 18 years. and she wants to move her daughter back in. So I think the smartest thing for me to do is take my wheel off temporarily so I can paint it and I'm not worried about blowing it off. The wheel is only so I can turn it gently when I want to start moving that resin around, because it's going to make a whole lot easier. So what I did is I painted some lines, I drew some lines out, and I panicked, sitting thinking, oh my God, I got to do a good job for everybody, right? So, come on, phone, move it around. It won't let me spin back. Phones are funny when you have two sets of gloves on. Okay, so this base coat is a color called Frozen by Prism Pour. It is beautiful color. And I'm gonna do a series of violets on there. We'll be going from the darker color Snapdragon to a color called Periwinkle, a color called Fairy Wings. I'm going to be doing glazes with these, varnish glazes with these over the blue, and then freesia, okay? Then what I'm going to do in this section that I've got the treatment, I'm going to try to lay in some autumn leaf, Madagascar ruby, which is a bright orange, a beautiful ginger peach. I do have some teal zircon if I think I need to bring a little turquoise. We'll kind of create a section here where we lay that in. We'll only have to put clear over the top of the areas that I painted with the varnish. So, Tesleva, hi, sweetheart. So I'm going to turn it. Let's start with the smaller section here. I've got kind of a loop here, if you can see that pattern I drew with an eraser. And let's get some of these colors mixed up in some varnish. Yeah, I am in love with Frozen. It's probably one of my favorite colors. It's sister to the cerulean blue. They both have that phthalo blue-green shade, which I tell you guys all the time when we're working with Purely Pigments, makes the most gorgeous water shade colors, colors for making water, okay? I did find my spoons, my missing spoons. I couldn't find them last week. So, yeah, and then under resin, this is going to sparkle like crazy. But I know when I put purple over blue, right, you can get some gorgeous shading. And I just want to show off everything that could possibly be done with these products. Thank you, Taz. So glad you're here. Yeah, there's a lot of favorites for me too. So this one is the Snapdragon, which right now is the darkest color of the four that I chose. Okay. This is the Fairy Wings, which in the bottle looks like the second darkest. But look at all the extra sparkle in that Fairy Wings. I forget which set this is in. I should know. I don't remember. We have 314 colors in 15 sets. I think I need to do another pop quiz on Saturday and ask you guys some questions, and we can win some prizes, and I can do some memorization. This is Periwinkle. Okay, so what's the difference? Your Snapdragon is more of your central, middle-of-the-road purple, right? The Fairy Wings kind of look similar in family because it looks warmer. But if you look at the two of these, the Periwinkle starts going into more of a bluer violet. And then the Freesia is, it's a jelly bean set, thank you very much. Which, by the way, the jelly bean set will be going on special because Easter's coming up, okay? I'll do an email campaign tomorrow. If somebody wants to message me today because they want the jelly bean set, I will make that happen for you. But it'll be announced tomorrow that the jelly bean set's going to go on special because we got Easter coming up, right? Exactly. All right, so let's see how this is going to work. I got everything else set up, but I didn't go and check all my paint brushes. I ruin brushes and I try really hard not to. Hi there, Timothy York. That's a new name and face for me. Do we know you, kind sir, if you really are a Timothy? Welcome, welcome. It's so nice to have you stop by and visit with us, right? We always love new people to come join the broadcast, but if I use your name once or twice, I hope you don't think I'm picking on you. It's not my intention, but just so happy to see new faces. Okay, so this is Primary Elements dry paint system in the cups. I'm just going to add a little squirt of Joe Sonia varnish to each one of them. And by doing that, I am creating a varnish glaze, right? And these may be too similar in colors. I may have to go to plan B. This is me experimenting. You've just been lurking. We have a lurker on our hands. That's okay. That means you're just watching. That's okay, you're watching. Look how pretty that Snapdragon is in that varnish. I wish I had a whole cup of it, but then I wouldn't have a place to put it. But boy, I could mix a whole cup of this stuff. It's so darn pretty, right? I don't know how much I need. I try to go minimal. I can always add more if I need it. But I don't want to waste the material, because if I make a whole bunch up extra, I'm either putting a top on, hoping I'm going to use it later, right? Ooh. Okay, this is pretty. This has some pretty blue, sparkly shifts in that color. That's the fairy wings. Coined after Fairy Art Mother, we do have a friend that visits that's on our live. We call her Fairy. She goes by the name Fairy Art Mother, and I think when I made this color, the name this color, we had her in mind. Now, periwinkle will start taking you to more of a blue tone purple, like I said. Yet the freesia is warm. See how the freesia is kind of a warm, very, very pastel. I'm not sure how this is going to blend with these guys, but let's see what happens here. And I'll start with the bigger brush because we got a larger area to go over. Now, part of the time I'm going to have to pick this thing up. You know, at home, you would just lay it down and paint it. But you wouldn't have to worry about trying to do this on a camera in front of people. Yeah, well, they're all the flavors of purple, violet and purple. So first thing I'm going to do is I want to use the darkest color because if I'm going to go up another section here, I kind of want to go dark to light. Yeah, I'm probably going to need more of this. I didn't make up much, but that's okay. Now, if you're worried about the blue, don't worry about the blue. The beautiful thing about doing glazing is the color beneath will show through. But look at that. That's so gorgeous, right? Now, what if I thought, well, that's a little bit strong. I just want to blend that out. I could take just some straight varnish. Same brush would have a lot of paint on it. But I could take another clean brush. I just want to give you guys options while you're doing this. When you're thinking about your process and what you want to do. You could, in theory, got to work quick though, because varnish dries quick. Take a clean brush and blend this out if you wanted to. Let's say, well, I think that's a little bit dark. Let's make this more of just a shade of that, but let's blend the Snapdragon out. What happens when we do that, right? So even though I have all these things mixed up as you might when you're starting a project, You might say to yourself, you know, that's not what I planned on. I don't know if I wanted it that dark. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I want you to know you have your option to keep blending it out, right? Till it's done. By the way, the prison pour dried pretty quickly. I only painted this board 2 hours before the broadcast. So it was painted at 9 a.m. and it was already dry. And that's because the prison pour dries with a very strong surface tension, dries really quick. You don't get a lot of passes with your brush strokes. I kind of almost like what that's looking like, but I know I have all these colors I want to use. Hey, Pam. Okay. So, oh, you'd like the, well, Lobster Lady, let's talk. She calls me hot pants. Aren't you the one that calls me hot pants? Hot stuff. Hot something. I love the Lobster Lady. So nice to see you, honey. Yeah, we'll make it work. I'll just go put the discount on it as soon as the broadcast is over, and then everybody can go in and get their deal. Incidentally, we only have 2 more days for the Winter Dreams event codes. I opened them up for the public. Winter Dreams 24, put that in first. It will give you 24% off your order. And then put in Winter Dreams 15. It takes an actual $15 off the order. You only got 2 more days to go. It's done on leap year day. I'm just blending this down so I don't have such a hard line. I haven't decided, but see how it's already drying? It's already setting up. So then I kind of decide, what am I gonna do? Now, that's not bad, but that's not what I was going for. I kind of wanted more of a gradiated color, but I wanted you guys to see that you had options, right? You have lots of options. So here's that fairy. Now it doesn't seem as bright as the Snapdragon. And there's already varnish down here. I'm not working on a dry board. So as I add these next layer of colors on, they're gonna go on really light and kind of smooth because there's some varnish down there to grab it and make it blend, okay? I'm gonna bring a little tiny bit of my Snapdragon back just because we lost a lot of it. I wasn't sure how sheer I wanted to go. So I'm just gonna paint a little bit and I'll tell you what I'm doing as I'm doing it without, it's kind of hard sometimes to describe it as you're going. Who said something? You're not late. We just kind of got started, Dee. We didn't do roll call. But I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so this is the fairy wings blending into the Snapdragon. I don't like brush strokes though. That's the only thing that bugs me. Makes me want to stipple this stuff. Because stippling, you can't tell where you start and stop. Okay, now can we transition to periwinkle real easily here? Because that's the periwinkle. Ooh, I think I'm going to put a periwinkle vein in here too. I'm liking what we're getting here. I'm liking that kind of waves of color. And then what happens if I add this freesia, which is very, very pale? Ooh, that's a little too light, guys. I think the freesia is a little too light there. Doesn't really look like it belongs. It really is a warmer violet. I'll try to soften it slightly. I'm not going to get rid of it, but hit your brush in periwinkle. There you go, right here, Pam. Hit it with the, that's what I did. I hit it with the periwinkle and kind of went over a little bit over the edge of this so it wasn't such a hot, bright, light pink. I don't mind a little accent there. Other than I want my flow to look like I intended to have these waves. Then we'll go back in with a little bit of the fairy wings. I'm heading straight back up where we left off with the fairy wings. And then let's see what we can do with this snapdragon and go back on top. Make it look like it belonged. And I'll tell you what, with that blue base, that's Harley jumping on top of my resin chamber. If you heard that noise, he has this thing of jumping on top of this thing and making noise. That's his way of being part of the broadcast. All right, well, I've played with that a little bit. Now, this is actually the small side. This is the bigger side. And most of these clocks, geodes, resin pourers, they stick to like two tones, you know, like a white and a blue, or a gold and a blue, or a whatever. Now, it looks like I might need some more color. There's not very much left here in my Snapdragon cup, now that we know what we're doing. Yeah, see, glazing gives you so much more control. And then you can go over this area with the resin. It's going to look so beautiful under that resin. And it's going to look like possibly like I even added those rings in resin, but I didn't, right? So I'm mixing up a little bit more of the Snapdragon, a little bit more of that periwinkle. Just get me a little bit. I can't really see me doing this, but I'm going to kind of mix up a tiny bit more quickly because we used more than I thought we would. Again, I'd rather have to mix and add a little bit more than waste it, right? I don't want to waste something and have too much mixed up. There's the fairy wings. See, I need a little bit more of the fairy wings. I have plenty of that other color that was so bright and pink. We'll just put a little tip of it on the end so it sort of matches. Back to a little bit of Joe Sonia varnish in each cup, a little squirt. I still have some plain Joe Sonia in my cup if I need to pick up a brush and thin a color out if I think it's too strong, right? Now I'm just going to mix it right in my brush. However, that's going to put a lot of Snapdragon in this brush. And no, I'm not picking up the phone. So if that's one of you guys calling me, sorry. That's the part of the live broadcast you can't do away with, right? You're late? Princess Jasmina's mama. Yes, ma'am, lobster lady. What do you want, Annette? I see ya. What do you want, sweetheart? Yes, ma'am. What can I do for you? Unless you're just saying hi, which I think I answered you already about the jelly bean set. So, okay, so I have this brush fully loaded with that Snapdragon, and it's going to be pretty darn strong. So, get these other colors over here. Try to get this canvas as close to us as possible so you can see what I'm doing here. Same thing, I'm just going to start brushing on. I kind of like what happened before when I had just the pure varnish on the, I don't want to taint my cup by putting the brush in there, so I poured some straight resin on there, straight varnish on there. And I'm just going to kind of blend this around. I like what happened when we did that other effect, so I'm going to kind of simulate the same thing here, even though you have to mess with your brush strokes a little bit more because you know it's a little bit slippery. You're not going to have as much pull, right? I still like the feel on my brush when it feels like it's glazing. Okay, so that's the Snapdragon. This is the fairy wings, that next color that we're using. Boy, this is going to sparkle like crazy, girls and boys. Sparkle, sparkle. I don't know. When I'm resining, I don't feel like I have control. I am a novice when it comes to resining. I can tell you the chemistry, how it's going to work, how it's going to react, but doesn't mean I've practiced it 1,000 times. I'm going to be all thumbs like any other person just starting out, which is kind of good because then you can see my experimentation in real time. Looks like Harley's decided to sit next to me. He best not jump on this table or we're in deep doo-doo here. I must be very popular today. Okay, I still need a little bit more varnish on here to get that to flow a bit, so I'm going to drop a couple drops on. I just want it to glide, glide, glide. And that color that I felt was just a little bit too pink, that's that freesia. It is a little bit pink, but mixed in with that periwinkle. Harley! He's on the table, guys. Get off. Now. And if you guys have not met him, here's my boy who's decided that he has to be part of this and doesn't like me taking him off the table. Nope. And yet Jasmine is sitting right there through the whole thing. She's completely part of this. She just hangs out, not bothered at all. My apologies for yelling his name. As soon as I saw him up on the table, I panicked. Sorry, guys. Oh, I know, can't be too pink. Yeah, but you know, this freesia looks a little bit pink next to the other purples that we're doing. So I'm going to go back to laying that freesia really lightly. You just left me a message? Oh, hi, Dana. Well, we can talk afterwards, honey. Yes, I'm on a live. As a matter of fact, as the phone's ringing, I'm telling people I won't answer because I'm live every Tuesday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturdays. Yes. Here's a little bit more of that fairy wings. Just kind of get a beautiful little glazing pattern. It's almost my little geode patterns without actually using the resin to create that geode effect. And back up to the Snapdragon again. Let's see what happens here. Not bad. Okay. So we have to let that dry just a little bit. Now what's interesting is you still see the blue coming through, right? You see that blue coming through. It's going to be beautiful under the resin. Now, my pattern looks a little bit too perfect. I was trying to draw something that looked a little bit irregular, so some of it may feed into this, may not. Some of it I may have to touch up. Let me get my blow dryer. My heat gun is still messed up. I have to fix the whatchamacallit on it. Shoot. Darn it. My blow dryer is... Let me see if I can get this thing to work. Yeah, my heat gun's not going to work right now. So we probably need... I've got lots of little things in here. My other regular blow dryer is too tangled up. But this should work. I'm just plugging it in. I bought this thinking I could do a Dutch pour someday. Whenever I grow up. Oh, great. This is also locked up. The button won't work. What is it with me and my heat guns? You have to ruin every single one of them, Leslie? Yes. Okay, well, I guess my little blow dryer has to get untangled. When in doubt, have always more than one blow dryer on your hands. And I can't tell if it's plugged in or not. Sorry guys, I really did not expect this. Of course, by the time I get this set up, guess what? It'll probably be dry. My luck. I just want a little air. You can see where it's still, now you can see where the moisture marks are. So we want to blow those off. I know, but Princess Jasmina says she's got 4 of them. Yet 2 of them, I don't know why the buttons are locked up. Probably got resin on them for me. Annette says she likes to make glazes with the prison pour. The challenge is they're so thick, they don't really lend themselves to a glaze. I'd be curious what you're doing, Annette. Love to hear about it, honey. Okay, so we're like 99% dry. This is definitely dry. I don't see any wet marks. There's a tiny bit right up here. We're gonna let that set a bit. I'm gonna mix up our epoxy colors. Yes, I made my epoxy in advance. I was a good girl. So I want to use primary elements in my epoxy today. So I'm going to have to show you how you do that. And I've got autumn leaf here, one of my favorite warm, yummy autumn browns. I have Madagascar Ruby, which is I was looking for a harvest moon. Yeah, that's a regular hairdryer though for like blowing out stuff. Why are you saying hi again, Miss Lobster Lady? What can we do for you, young lady? She must be saying hi to a dear friend. Small hairdryer, Miss Lobster Lady. Annette teaches, and she's amazing. Yeah, tour in the flower. Okay, so how do I take my primary elements and turn them into something I can use in epoxy? Because technically, primary elements are dry paint system. There's ground solvent color in there. They will not mix directly in epoxy. So we have to pre-dissolve them. In Vivid Art Fluid, which I'm going to show you guys how we do that now. Believe it or not, Madagascar Ruby is deep orange. It is not a red. So while you may think the name Ruby says red, it is not a red. Ginger Peach is probably the deepest yellow we make, but it looks like an orange when it's mixed, but it's actually a really, really, really dark yellow. As you keep thinning it out, more and more of the yellow will keep appearing. Okay, so how do I turn a primary element into something I can mix in epoxy? I pre-dissolve the color in Vivid Art Fluid, which is our own signature acrylic emulsion that will pre-dissolve it for you. Looks like I got, oh my God. Can you believe it? I've resined this shut too, guys. Oh my God. You know, that last event was quite a mess. So it's a good thing I have a backup bottle here. Even though it's the wrong cap. That's not going to help me much. Darn it. So what do I do when this is resin shut? Well, at home, I'd be pulling this darn thing off. I'm putting another cap on. There we go. Whew. I had to fight, but we got it. Fought to get it done. Okay, so Vivid Art Fluid. Now the trick with this, you don't want too much in. Basically, is that it's a raw acrylic emulsion with no thickener in it, Michelle. Michelle asked if it was a polymer. I guess you'd consider acrylic is in the polymer family, but it is a pure acrylic emulsion that breaks down and dissolves it. I do not have that. What can you, Vivid Art Fluid. I mean, either that, if you have some Liquitex pouring medium or GAC 800, it might help. They don't have quite as much of a polymer in here. The point is it has to be pre-dissolved in something that has no thickener in it. If you dissolved it in regular acrylic and then tried to use it in your epoxy is going to seize up. That's the point of using, yeah, there's a binder in it. We mix Vivid Art Fluid 50-50 to tighten the back of your canvas. You can mix it 50-50 with water and dip in a paintbrush and paint with the primer elements like watercolors. We know people that make sprays out of this. It's just pure acrylic with no thickener in it. Well, yeah, we can talk about it. If you just placed an order, I'll call you on the phone. We'll fix it somehow. Yeah, there is a binder. It is a pure acrylic emulsion. Emulsion acrylic is a binder, but no thickener. So you're not going to have any kind of issues with your resin seizing up. That's kind of the point of this. You don't want to add something in there. If you were to put acrylic paint directly in epoxy, it shortens your working time. Now that's too much Vivid Art Fluid. That's too much Vivid Art Fluid. I may have to add a little bit more of it because the whole point, you don't want to make it juicy. You want to make it into a paste. The point is to turn it into a paste. So vegetable, it's basically, I'll call her Saskia. I'll give her a call as soon as we hang up. If she just placed an order, then I can find it. But thanks for telling her to email me because Saskia is right. Anytime you guys need something, just email me. It's the best way to do it. Can't really cover stuff in a broadcast, even though I'd love to help. Okay, I'm not sure if we have enough color mixed up, but let's see what our resin does. Okay, now time to play with our epoxy. This is the autumn leaf. That's, oh my God, that is such a pretty color. Oh. I'm in love with this color. See, what's interesting is, Eve, it's not, and it doesn't dissolve in the epoxy because they're water soluble, but it will bead in like beating butter and sugar together for cookies. As long as the color's pre-dissolved, it will bead into the resin creamy and smooth. If it's not pre-dissolved, the primary elements will make big, giant, chunky moon rocks. It'll never dissolve in the resin. As a matter of fact, there is a video of me showing me. I can always use molds. Everybody can use molds. You're getting rid of your molds? Well, I don't need, you know. Ask me after I move. Now this is a little bit, I don't know, a little bit more red than I wanted it to be, right? And let's take a look at what the ginger peach is going to do all mixed up. Like I told you, it's a really, really beautiful dark yellow that looks orange in the cup. That, oh my God, that color is beautiful in the epoxy. Look at that. A couple drops of what, hun? The Vivid Art Fluid? 2-part pigment, 1-part fluid. Try to turn it into a paste. You're not trying to make a liquid. You're just breaking it down into a creamy paste till all the colors broken down. That's the secret. Too bad I can't move down to Texas. Yeah, well, that's a interesting point. Okay, this is turning a little bit too red. The epoxy's making this a little bit red. I'm trying to stay in the orange family. Even my autumn leaf, because again, the color doesn't actually dissolve, it just breaks down. It's giving us a real dark brown. So what am I gonna do? Well, fortunately, we have something called Purely Pigments. And if I wanna orange this up a bit and orange this up a bit, I can take a couple drops. This is the Aztec yellow. I believe that's what this is called. Let's add a drop to each one, see what happens. I'm just trying to turn it more into a warm, yummy autumn brown. I would love to watch the does on your back porch. Yeah, that's still a little bit too brown for me. I think a couple more drops. I'm going to put 2 more drops in here. I can already tell what I want. And then I'm going to jump right to the electric orange, because I'm trying to orange this up. See, autumn leaf, let me show you what autumn leaf looks like. You can see what I'm talking about, the difference. I'm going to put 1, 2, 3. So right now there's a drop of the Aztec yellow and 3 of the orange. So here's, hey, Luciana, welcome, sweetheart. Okay, so just so you guys have a benchmark of autumn leaf, you saw me mix it in the cup, right? And it looked like that warm, beautiful orangey brown, okay? I'm just gonna spray my butcher paper here with some water. Put a little bit of this in here. Look how orange, look how beautiful that autumn leaf is. And then look how brown it is in the cup, right? Compared to the color here. That's because the color doesn't actually dissolve in the resin. It beats down in the Purely Pigment. So if I want to add some more warmth back to this color, now it's not quite as dark. Now I have more of a warmer brown, right? That's okay. If you want it really dark, that's great, especially for countertop work. That autumn leaf will be gorgeous. But I was looking for something a little bit warmer. This was a little bit too red, so I added some of that Aztec yellow to it. Still a little bit red. What happens if I add some of my orange? Electric orange, 2 more in here. There's a saturation, there's a color I'm trying to get to. But you can see this is what autumn leaf looks like when you're using it as a primary element in an acrylic color, right? Very, very different in the epoxy. Even though I guess Michelle D was real excited how her Venetian red turned out. After one of the broadcasts, you guys, I was so excited. She's a neighbor of mine now. She's about 13 minutes away. So I FaceTimed her right after one of my broadcasts. And she's got her mask on, you know, that makes you look like the fly. And she goes, "Is there something that you need?" And I said, "Wow, you're already playing?" She goes, "Oh yeah, I had to play." I said, "Okay." And she goes, "Look how beautiful the Venetian red is in the resin." And I'm like, oh my God. I mean, she's jumping right in and playing right after the broadcast. I mean, that's what I hope you guys do, is start playing with your toys, for Pete's sakes. Okay, now here's the tricky part. I'm going to try to put some colored resin in here. And we're not going to be able to get a different color if you use alcohol to moisten what? What am I moistening, Dana? Dana says to put alcohol in the resin to moisten it. What does she mean? I've heard of spraying alcohol in there to get the bubbles out. Right? Lots of times I've heard that. But, okay, so here's the tricky part. We got to get rid of our notebook. We're down and dirty with the resin. There may come a time when I'm going to have to stand to do this. You don't put alcohol in primary elements. What do you mean get a different color of alcohol? Primary elements are not compatible with alcohol, if that's what you're saying, hon. I'm probably misunderstanding you, but it is not compatible with alcohol. They will seize up. Okay, I am going to grab my spin. It's not really to spin. It's just so I can turn this thing if I have to. So I'm not understanding what you're saying. You said exactly, so not sure what you're saying. These colors are a little bit too close for me. I think I need a turquoise. Before I get blowing and going, I'm actually going to do, I have this set aside in case I had to have something to break up the browns. So I'm going to grab and make a teal zircon mixed with vibrant aqua. Actually, I think what I'll just do is mix up vibrant aqua. Do a straight purely pigment color in the resin because we can. I need some turquoise to break up that brown. It's going to look a little bit too brown in that center section without something else to break it up. I'm not happy with how those colors mixed up. I bet you if I use Ceylon cinnamon, it's not as dark of a brown. And so it probably wouldn't have picked up that deeper brown in the epoxy like it did. And don't worry, I'm not out of resin. I got a ton of it mixed up behind me because we have to cover this whole piece. So I'm going to go right to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops of vibrant aqua. Candied yams would be another great color. You're correct. Sharon McCabe said use candied yams. She's absolutely right. Now I'm going to put a little twist on my vibrant aqua. I'm going to add some of the interference violet to this, give it a little twist since we're using purples here, right? And some sparkle violet. That's a lot of mic in there, Leslie. And there's some sparkle dye. Now, interference violet, sparkle violet, same family, just larger flake, right? When they're making the interference colors, they screen out the different particulate sizes. And so you can get a interference, which is the regular one that's really small particulate, gives you the strongest shift, right? And then you use then they can screen out a larger size. There's new people here, so I got to show this. See how the diamond is a larger, the sparkle is a larger flake, and then the diamond's even bigger. So I'm dolling up my vibrant aqua with a little bit of sparkle violet and some interference violet. Yeah, I'm not too happy with how brown those browns came out. They're not as autumn leafy. I was hoping. So be careful stirring it because that mic is going to want to pop out. Well, I don't know. I'm not getting the colors I want today, guys. I'm just not. I'm going to go all in, teal zircon. This is the same thing you may go through. You're going to mix up something, say, no, I don't like it, or no, it's too this or that. So you do have the ability. See, it's funny how the purples mixed up so true to form. Yeah, you'd like my stash. And yet the browns, shoo, so much color in those browns, they went really, really dark. So this is going to give us a completely different type of turquoise in the resin, which I think will make it interesting. We'll be able to play with both of those. Let's get some more epoxy out here to play with. Yeah, here's, now look at that. Look how pretty that color turned out. Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping for. I do like the violet in the colors, but since this is already, it's pretty just the way it is, I ain't touching it. Okay, so now the challenge is, how do we do this on camera with the resin? Me sitting may not be too long of an option. So to see how I'm gonna pull this off. Getting my table completely cleared off, everything out of the way. I've got some of my hair tools that we can pull the color with. And now let's see what happens. I couldn't find my tiniest little stir stick, so I have these little tiny plastic spoons. I'll have to dribble fine lines. And okay, I'm back to nervous. Worried and nervous how this is gonna turn out. It's always with me, guys, right? Okay, so I wish Mandy was here. Saskia, I'm gonna ask you a question, and my gut is saying, if I put the clear here first, it almost creates a barrier. I'll pour it a little bit in. So when I'm putting my browns out, right, I don't want the brown and stuff to go far in here. And if there's something already here, it's gonna push it back. Am I right? Now, what you guys are talking about alcohol and primary elements, I'm really trying to figure out what you guys are talking about. So I'm going to try it on this small end. Something's telling me to put resin on this first. I could be wrong. I do have a few rocks that I can work with, like some glass. If I need some glass. It's not a lot, but I do have some glass. I custom made this with autumn leaf, vivid art fluid, and on regular raw glass. I have some pink, but this is way too pink. So, yeah, I have issues with colors. That's my crutch. I get lost in the whole color thing, and then, you know, the design thing kind of goes by the wayside. So everything inside of me is saying, put a little resin down here. Okay, everybody's saying beautiful stash. So I'm going to start here and just make sure. Oh my God. Oh my God, I wish you guys could see this. This one little section I'll pull up and show you. I should probably do it before we even turn this. Look at that color. Oh my God, I'm blown away. Okay, so let's get going. Yeah, something's telling me to put a little clear here. So I'm blocking out this area. I don't want the brown in my little glass pattern to take over. And yet I don't want this resin to blow too much into the area where we're gonna go with that autumn brown. So I'm gonna give it a, maybe a ½ inch. I'm looking to see what people are saying. No, Evelyn, they won't dissolve. If you guys are doing it, you're not getting the biggest bang for your buck. Primary elements will not dissolve in alcohol. And people need to know that. Now, I will tell you there's a few colors that if they look like face powder, Stargazer's one of them. There's so little color in it, you'll beat it in the resin and say, Leslie's wrong. She doesn't know what she's talking about, because it'll sort of look a little bit like Stargazer once you beat it in. But if you actually pre-dissolve that Stargazer in the Vivid Art Fluid, all the color pops. Alcohol is not compatible with primary elements. Now, there are people that like to use alcohol and regular mica powders, minerals. That's a common thing, very common thing. But primary elements is a dry paint system with ground color in it. It is not compatible with alcohol. I know I'm going to say that a couple times. Yeah. The color is different. Well, of course it is. The color's not dissolving, Eve. The color will not dissolve in alcohol. They're not compatible. So I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that nobody's misinformed. Now, there are people to try to get their regular mica powders to be more slip into the resin a little bit easier, because resin cleans up with alcohol. That makes sense that they'll do that with their mica powders. But remember, primary elements is not a mica powder. It is a paint system. I'm sorry, sweetie. I know, I'm emphatic. I don't want anybody misinformed. Okay, so this is too brown for my liking still. I'm going to use it more with veining. I think I'm going to start with the color that I really do like, which is this ginger peach, which turned out really gorgeous. And this is where I get afraid that somehow I'm going to screw up what I'm doing here. I'm still trying to sit down and do this, which I know is not realistic. It's not going to be realistic at all. And I just bumped the camera with my head. So I use this thin little tool to get my vein in. These little hair tools are pretty handy. So you can do kind of a small, I just kind of want to move this in there, not really mess with the design. I'll go with this design, right? Don't think I mixed up enough color, to be honest, because that's pretty nice right there. Oh boy. I'm deciding what I want to do next, to be honest. I'm not really thrilled with these three colors. I know I keep saying it, but I'm just not. I'll see if I can't get this to vein right here. I'm trying to do this with my face in the camera, guys, just so you understand. This is not an easy task. I think I'm going to have to stand. I have no other way to do this. I'll do my best to leave the camera right there and stand and let you see what I'm doing without having to hike it up. So I kind of want to push this back. I know the heat gun is going to spread this around, but I kind of want to make sure I have a nice even flow here. I mean, I love purple and orange and turquoise and purple. Purple and orange is so pretty with a little bit of turquoise. So I'm just kind of pushing that clear back, getting that out of my purple area. See how much I can manipulate this. Gotta make sure you guys can still see me, okay? We'll try our very first aqua color here. Again, I'm trying to pinch it so it just gives me a tiny little vein of it over the top. These really should be going in the paper cups. This plastic cup is not really the best thing for what I'm doing. I apologize for not transferring into a paper cup for you. A little bit more. I'm not watching one word anybody's saying right now. If you're wondering, I can't see. I'll look up now. I just see happy mistakes, not screw-ups. Okay, thank you. Thing, when they do these veinings, they don't really blend them into each other that much. They just kind of vein, right? So I think we need to mix up a gold. As I'm looking at this, I'd sure love to have a gold as part of this. That's a little bit too purple. It'll pick up some of that color in here, that lighter area. Wow, that purple's really pretty. I just kind of get it to spread a little bit more out here. That's the one thing about lives, guys, uncensored. No way of knowing exactly what's going to happen here. So I'm not caring for this brown. I'm really not caring for the brown. So my gut, I want more of this color. I don't mind the red, but I want more of this color. So it is my piece. Thank God I have more epoxy. Because I'm not like that brown all along. I can't seem to love that brown. So I'm just gonna make a whole bunch more of this ginger peach. And while we're at it, I know I need a gold anyway. So you can't see me doing this because I've got it got it. How's it going through that red? The red's not bad. The red is not bad at all. But I'm mixing up some golden maple with a little red gold. I'll show you guys in a second. Golden maple is our Bling It larger particulate size. And then the red gold, you'll see it as solar gold. I think it's listed as solar gold on the website. It's a fine gold. And golds, when you're working with resin, bigger particulates are fun for the flash, but you kind of need, look how beautiful this golden maple is, right? You need some fine in there to give it a blend, so it sits on top. So, I'm going to put some of the finer gold in here too. Kind of mix it half and half. Now this is where some people might put alcohol. I don't care for too much alcohol, but you know, alcohol can create special effects. So it's an interesting idea. Oops, I need to put the Vivid Art Fluid in mine, not the Jo Sonia. The Vivid Art Fluid goes into the primary elements just a little bit, just enough to dissolve it. So we can make more of that color. And yeah. That's what it looks like, pre-dissolved in the Vivid Art Fluid. Still too much art fluid in there for my liking. but we're just gonna have to go with it. So I'm pouring some epoxy in this one. And I'm gonna pour the epoxy in the two golds. Because we need some gold in there to break that up. That's two turquoise. And with all that purple and blue. So this is the fine and golden maple 50-50 mixed. And this is the ginger peach, more of that ginger peach. Oops, I dumped a little bit. Mixed up into that resin. Wow, it's feeling just a little bit thin. I'm hoping I don't have too much Vivid Art fluid in there. That's the tricky part. You just want it to be a paste. You're not trying to make an acrylic paint. Okay, here we go again. I don't know. Part of me wants me to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to put the clear down and then work towards that center. I don't want this messed up. God, that's beautiful going down. That is so pretty. I love what the varnish glaze looks like under a resin. It is stunning. And it really opens up a whole lot of color possibilities, so you don't have to worry about, I mean, not that we don't want to color the resin, but then you have more possibilities doing it like this, right? We have more options. And options are good. I'm really not caring for that color right here as I look across this. That's really looking funky to me. I may have to go in and doll it up a little bit. It's my piece. So if you find that there's something you're not liking once you've got it down, we want to figure out how we can fix it, right? So I'm just going along with my little pattern here, trying to make sure that the clear is covering this area. One thing about resin is it's self-leveling. So if you see little puddles as I'm doing this and you're like, oh my God, Leslie, it's going to be uneven, don't worry about it. It is self-leveling. We're almost there. I just want to make sure all of this whole pattern has some epoxy on it. Wow. Even the patterns in the clear resin over this, it's creating these cool patterns where my tool is going. It sure is giving me a lot of ideas for future projects, I'll tell you that. Watching how this is working, going over the top of it. Let's see how much you guys can see here. Sorry about that. I've got to watch the camera for you. I think I'm going to go up a little bit. Give you a wider view. This thing's not wanting to lock in place. Lock in place for me, please. Okay, here we go. Now you can have a broader idea of what's happening. There we go. The camera's really having a little trouble. I'm having a little trouble with the camera today. It's not the camera's fault, it's me. I know better. Okay, so the color is still bugging me. And I'm gonna go with this gorgeous ginger peach. this sucker spread around. Oops. Yeah, epoxy's a little bit challenging to do these lives, unless I'm sticking to molds. As long as you guys don't mind, I don't mind. But again, I'm not real thrilled with this color. I love this color. This is beautiful. As a matter of fact, I'm loving these patterns this thing is making in here. That's kind of interesting. That's really cool patterns that it can make. Now, this is the only reason why I put this thing on the table is so I could spin it and do the other side. Not that I'm spinning. Just sort of spinning. Hello, Judy. Wow, you just came in at a very interesting part. By the way, I heard from Erica today. She loves the Purely Pigments. It makes me so happy. We spoke on the phone today. I was so excited to talk to her. Yes. Makes me very happy. Erica from Artist Till Death has been playing with the Purely Pigments, and she gave it a big thumbs up today. I don't know if she's carrying it yet, but she'll probably soon for her fans, which is great. Happy to get it out there for her fans. Okay, so I have some rocks that may be able to help me with this color issue, because I'm not really thrilled with this purpley color. I'm going to try to see by adding some of this more turquoise in here, will it help me solve some of my issues? So, to get you up to speed, I painted the board with frozen Prism Pour. These two sections here have been varnished with primary elements and some purples. And a primary element in purples and some varnish. And then I put clear on top of each of those sections. So when I put the colored resin in there, I'm hoping I was doing this right. They would not run into there. Okay, now I'm not real thrilled with that purpley blue. So I'm going to see if by adding this little bit of teal, can I kind of get it to run across the top and mix the purple with the turquoise. Oh yeah, this is making a nice color combination. Well, I'm liking them mixed together. That's okay. Just not that purple was kind of the wrong tone of violet. Now, what I do now, I'm a little bit lost. I have some gold, so I can do some pretty gold drizzling here and there. But I'm not quite as talented as Erica Bauer. She's the queen of putting in beautiful gold veining on her work. If you guys have never gone to Artist Till Death, I recommend you check out her channel. There's very few artists out there that actually specialize in the resin, and her and Jeff, her husband, are one of the channels that does. So it's always good to go out and see as many, yes, Pam, I love her work, as many people out there that are going to be able to inspire you and all the different techniques that are out there, right? Hey, Casey, how you doing? Don't worry about it. You're not that late. So we're going to add a little gold vein here since it wanted to drop some gold right there. Let's add a little bit of a gold vein there, a little bit dribbled. she's a little bit more free and loose with it, just kind of trusts herself and rolls it around. I'm always envious on how she gets her gold on. Erica's good about getting her gold on, right? Getting her gold on. My little itty bitty tiny stir sticks I could not find because I thought they would be great for doing this kind of veining. Now remember, my heat gun, the button is all locked up, so I'm not going to be able to really blow this with heat like I normally would. I'm going to have to fix it after the broadcast. There's a way I can take a hammer, unlock it, and I think it was Casey. Someone recommended that I cover my button with saran wrap, so that doesn't happen. Now, it's not quite as smooth as I would like. Guys, I have to sit down. I can't sit and stand and do this anymore. We're still limited on what my body will let me do after the knee replacement. So give me a sec. Let's see if I can't touch this up a little before I heat it, because my gold's a little sloppy, but hey. Who knows? It might make it very interesting that I've got that in there. I don't know if I need any more gold anywhere. I certainly have plenty of it. Okay, so I have some areas where I see that I need some resin right here in the areas where I put the clear down. Want to fill this in so we make sure it evens out when I torch this thing. Oh, no, 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 there's color on it. No, no, no. Oh, gosh darn it. I don't want to do that, guys. I guess I'm going to have to go with it and put another little vein of gold in here, right? Just a little dribble, so I meant to. Now I'm looking for any bubbles, looking for any places that isn't covered. The only way I'm going to heat this thing only thing I have is that commercial torch. Heat gun is blown. I don't know if it'll let me blow it. No. The regular gun's not going to blow it. So I'm going to have to sit and try to decorate this manually and not use a pretty gun to blow it around, which I apologize for, you guys. I'm so sorry. But if anything, this has inspired you to say, well, if she can do that, I can do this, right? Which is kind of the point of doing this project of, hey, well, Leslie played with these colors. What if I played with these colors? Improve on what I'm doing. Okay, now I have some rocks. I'm not sure if they're appropriate. I am going to take one of my extra gloves off. It's nice to have the clean glove. That's a trick I learned from Fairy Art Mother. 2 pairs of gloves on your hands, and then you feel clean. Looks like melted styrofoam. Okay. Yeah, I really, I mean, we don't have time for me to fix my heat gun. And you guys can visit with each other. If I can find the tool I did it last time, I literally had to take a hammer and like a knife, like a butter knife or something, and hit the button down. And there you go, I did it. So, I hit this with a hammer and my heat gun. And then, I mean, a hammer and a butter knife. I gotta stand up, give me a minute. Okay, so now we've got the heat gun going. Maybe I can smooth out these lines. It'll sure look a lot nicer with it all smoothed out. Well, I had it on. It's still being tricky. There we go. I can't read what you're saying, guys, because I'm standing, but I see some notes popping up here from everybody. Well, okay, so what have we learned today? I'm trying to think about all the life lessons here. What have we learned today? Actually, no, I barely used any color. You mean in the autumn leaf? No, Saskia. The autumn leaf thing is some of the colors will pre-dissolve, but then when the resin hits it, it's gonna go dark. And you're right, I can try it again with less autumn leaf in there. That's always a possibility. Because the purples did turn out, the purples turned out true to color. They did really well. And so, but even the Madagascar ruby was funny. More of the red came out than the orange. And so it could just be the color base in both of those is kind of dark. And when the resin hits it, right? Now I have these glass pieces. I'm not sure where I'm going to put them when we get off camera. Yeah. Hi, Kathleen McGee. How you doing, honey? Okay, so let me see some notes. Hoping Leslie can tell me what caused the reaction between two colors. What do you mean? I guess I need to talk to you on the phone about what you're talking about. Yeah, I know. The autumn leaf I would have thought wouldn't have turned such a dark brown. But because, again, the color doesn't dissolve in the resin, you're dissolving it in the art fluid. And it's possible I had a little bit too much in there. It's quite possible. So anyway, that's my attempt. I think, what have we learned today? We know we can paint some beautiful base coat down with a prism pour. We know we can varnish over it. The colors are glorious under that resin. And then I just wanted to create a feature point that maybe had some rocks and some earth tone colors. It's okay. It's not bad practice piece. It's good for me to learn. And I don't mind learning, as long as you guys don't mind learning. So, piece of business, the purely pigment jars. I thought I told you at the beginning of the broadcast, they landed yesterday. The jars landed yesterday. Purely pigments will be shipping here in about 2 days, maybe a little bit too soon. He'll probably have most of them wrapped up on Friday, and they will be shipping Monday and Tuesday. We are so excited. So everybody that's been waiting that extra week, there is a special little extra bonus besides the regular gold diamond. There's another one going in there for you for having to wait all this time. We really appreciate your patience. Supply chain issues and stuff happens, right? And then, we have no control until we get the jar. So that's why I haven't sent any email campaigns. I didn't want to promote them until we knew the jars were here. And they landed. He's mixing them right now. I'm so excited the new colors are getting poured. And even people waiting on set number 1, those were back ordered too because we were waiting for jars. So it's all being sent out Friday and Monday and Tuesday. They'll all be shipping. It's very exciting. The codes left over from the Winter Dreams event, even if you didn't enter the secret phrase, if you type in Winter Dreams, all lowercase, one word, 24, it takes 24% off. Then type in Winter Dreams 15. It takes an extra $15 off for your shipping. You have until leap year day, Thursday, to use that code. You've got 2 more days besides today to use that code, and then it's done. I want to thank you for joining me. I keep saying that this in every broadcast, and people are starting to respond, okay? Don't leave your toys in the drawer. Use them. Even if you just open them up and make a color chart. I think maybe one of these broadcasts we have to talk about making a color chart. I've done a few for myself, but everybody's got their own system, whether yes, play with your colors, says Casey. Play with your colors. I don't care what manufacturer it's from. It doesn't do us any good to leave them in the drawer and walk by and pet them. So you bought yourself this gift, you deserve to use them. Thank you guys for joining me. Love you bunches. See you Friday. Bye.